to our presentation. We'll focus on the college admissions process going from 9th through 12th grade, so there should be something for everybody. My name is Doretha Juarez. I'm one of 8 counselors in the counseling office. Presenting with me is Mrs. Laura Cuneo. And then over here we have Mr. Scott Borchard, Ms. Ingrid Baum, we have Ms. Janet Bolos, and Mr. Daniel Johnson. And so we will be here to answer your questions also. We apologize. We were just talking about, this is homecoming week, I think you've noticed. Yeah. And there's a school-wide lunch today, and there's no parking. So we apologize for any of you that had to take a little bit longer walk this morning as you were coming. Just kind of a show of hands to give us an idea, how many freshman parents are here? Awesome. And how about sophomore? And junior? And senior? Oh, so we have everybody here. That's wonderful. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. At any time during the presentation, if you'd like to go over to the corner there and have some coffee and have some baked treats, certainly go ahead and do so. That won't bother us at all. Okay. So to start this college admissions process, we as the counseling office really begin it in the 9th grade. We are very grade specific on our talks and in our materials and our information. We do not want to overwhelm anybody, especially the freshmen, but it's in the air. It's in the air. It's in the culture. Certainly, this college process from the beginning of their time here, and it increases certainly as we move through the years. So to start with freshmen. Freshmen want to make sure that academics come first because you can't get away from it. The GPA and the standardized test scores are very, very important, obviously, in the college process. So they by now they have met with their counselor, and we'll check in with them periodically. We guarantee to see our students at least one time a semester, but believe me, we see students many times more than that. I think we can all attest that we've seen some seniors up to 25 times by the end of the first semester. And we have an open door policy. Our students know, we tell them in their first meeting with the counselors, they can sign up on our door for a time slot. For example, if they know that one of their classes, they don't have a test and they think they can miss a few minutes of that class, they simply put their name on our door at that time slot, and we call them up with what we call the pink slip. They can also see us at X Block, during X Block. They don't have to make an appointment for that. If they'd like to see us on a 3 o'clock day, they should let us know that they're coming in at 3, or even before school, but they should let us know certainly about that. We try to make ourselves very available to our freshmen. We also want our freshmen to enjoy themselves. We want them to acclimate well. We want them to get involved, to find some activities that they can get involved in. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had our club fair where we had all of our clubs out in the parking lot during another school-wide lunch. And a lot of the freshmen were very excited to see all that and to start to sign up for clubs. So very important for them to get involved and also to put their academics first. We want to make sure that our freshmen attend X Block. I'm sure that you probably all know what X Block is. It's an hour and really 2 hours on the 1:30 days when teachers are in their rooms waiting for students to come in. A student doesn't have to talk with the teacher, doesn't have to sit and go over a test with the teacher, but he or she can. They can simply do their homework in the room. They can work on a group project together in the room. So that's another very good encouragement that we certainly propose to the kids, and you also, if you remember to tell them, go to X Block, see your teachers, go over tests, ask questions. If a student comes to a counselor with a question about a class or a teacher, we typically refer them right back to that teacher, right back to that class. So we're trying to train them from the beginning to have a very close communication with their teachers, to meet them face to face, use X Block, use email, etc. We want our students certainly to be balanced. We want them to be healthy, mentally healthy also. In fact, our department has been pushing the last couple of years to really increase mental health awareness on campus. We have a mental health week in the spring, and we're trying to incorporate more and more of that into our school culture, as are the teachers and everybody on board. We have a 4-year plan. I'm sure all of you have seen it. It's also online. And when we meet with our students, we very carefully have them stick to the 4-year plan. When I say 4-year plan, that means, for example, they take 4 years of religion, right? They take 4 years of English. They take at least 3 years of math, but we advise them to take 4. And so we work with them very closely to make sure that they have their requirements, their graduation requirements. They can also be thinking about their 10th grade classes, maybe not right now, but they do have an elective in 10th grade. So they can start to figure out what their interests are. Would they like to take marine biology, a business economics class? You can also see all of the course descriptions on the Chaminade website. Excuse me. At Notre Dame High School, I'm going to lose my voice. On Sunday, October 7th, we have our big college fair, and that's open to all students, 9th through 12th graders, where many, many college reps will be on the campus, and you can go around, visit with them, you take brochures and ask them about programs and things like that. That's a Sunday morning, so if you're interested in that, that's something to put on your calendar now. It's coming up quite soon. We also want our students to become familiar with Naviance. When we meet with them, we typically have them open Naviance sometimes or talk about Naviance. Naviance becomes increasingly important in the college process. It will become a junior and senior's best friend as a tool in working through the college process. But our freshmen can be working on their resume in Naviance, in the About Me tab, where they could be putting everything they have done from 9th grade and continue to do that all the way through 12th. If a student wants to spend just 5 or 10 minutes at the end of each semester putting down everything that he or she has done, whether it be their volunteer services or their sports or their robotics or their drama, anything at all can go into that resume, and that really helps when they go to apply to college or even have a resume if they want to apply for a job. It's a good thing for even the freshmen to start doing. We go into the classrooms. We frequently give presentations, the counselors, to our students, grade-specific presentations. So we're familiar to them. They know our faces. And then on October 10th, which is a Wednesday coming up, the kids come to school. It's a regular, as usual, in their uniforms and whatnot. There are no classes, though. Instead, the freshmen are going to be taking the PSAT 8-9. And they'll be finished by about 11:30 or 12, and they're free to go after that. And we like to do that beginning in freshman year, so they get a taste of what it's like to take the standardized test. They get their results usually about early December with some feedback, so they can see where they need to work, where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, and that's from freshman year, and they'll take testing all the way through their junior year. To move forward to the 10th grader, of course, very similar to all of the things we just spoke about with the 9th grade. Their grades are vitally important. They definitely count. They want to be aware of their maintaining good grades. They also want to be balanced. All of our students need to be balanced and to be mentally healthy, physically healthy. They can start to think about their 11th grade courses. Now, if you consider the AP courses, sophomores are allowed to take up to 2. By the end of junior year, they could have taken up to 5. And by the end of senior year, up to 9. So there's a cap at 9. And especially as they're moving to junior year, when there are quite a few AP courses available to them, they want to start thinking about which honors and AP courses do they gravitate toward? Where's their interest? Where would they like to put more focus, more energy, more time and effort? And certainly their counselor, the student's counselor, can help with that, with help with those choices. They're going to continue using Naviance, continue building the resume, for example. We have a college kickoff here on our campus the evening of November 1st, excuse me, and that's kind of in the works still. What we've had in the past is we've had 2 speakers. We've had a speaker from a big public school like UCLA, and then we've had a speaker from a smaller private school like Cal Lutheran, and this representative gives a lot of information about the admissions process and the inner workings of getting into those schools. So if you can attend the college kickoff on November 1st, that's wonderful, and that's primarily for sophomore and junior families. I have some water. Thank you. They want to start thinking about what they want in a college, the size, the location. Visiting college campuses is always wonderful. You know, maybe you can't get out to Michigan or New York, but you can get to the big colleges around here or the smaller ones. And students everybody gets a real vibe when you're on a college campus to kind of start to figure out what they want. Do they want to be more near a city? Do Do they want to be, have a lot of wildlife and nature environment handy? So that's something that they can always be working on. We talked about the college fair at Notre Dame High School. We also have college tours on, through Chaminade. Thank you, Scott. In the spring, we have, for juniors, we have a couple of bus tours to local colleges like Pepperdine and UCLA and USC and LMU. We have our big Northern California tour going out in a couple of weeks. We have, is it 32 kids going, I think? We did a Midwest college tour last fall. And we always are surveying, we're always trying to find out what you and your students are most interested in as far as location, where we should take the kids for tours. The sophomores will be taking the Aspire test on October 10th, and that's a practice ACT test. So, in other words, we're having them exposed to both SAT and ACT testing well before they need to take the real test in their junior year. And they can kind of start to decide which one is more comfortable for them, and they can start to cater their studying toward that particular test. Possibly in May and June, your sophomores who've taken the AP World History, they will be taking the AP exam in May of their sophomore year, and even possibly if they want to take a subject test, again in a subject they're very comfortable with, where they've had a lot of background, they can do that also in May of their sophomore year. To move up to juniors, we like them to try and take the most rigorous course load that they can. Colleges like to see increase of rigor. So, for example, we have honors classes in the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. There are no honors classes in senior year, but we have AP available for 10th, 11th, and 12th. Colleges like to see them increasing, or at least maintaining their rigor, but maybe even increasing their rigor, moving from 2 APs to 3, for example, or from 1 honors to 2. And also a side note, students who never take an honors or an AP class get into awesome colleges. So it's not necessary. That's not the path for every single student. It's just something to keep in the back of their mind. Okay. They want to, again, try to be very involved both on campus and off campus. On campus, as I said, we have so many clubs, student council, robotics, etc. But also off campus, taking a class or doing their community service, really meaningful community service. We also want to make sure that they try to move toward leadership. For example, if they're on a team sport, maybe they can become a team captain or co-captain by the time they're an 11th or 12th grader. Just something to kind of work on, the leadership positions. In the spring, they want to continue keeping their academics strong. They want to start to think about choosing their senior courses with the help of their counselor. We have junior workshops for them to attend, focusing on different aspects of where they are in their academia and in preparing for college. We definitely want them to find meaningful work or internships or traveling or something in the summer. The summer should be definitely a time where they're productive, but colleges look at all different kinds of activities equally. They don't have to go to some $8,000 program on the East Coast. They can find something meaningful locally that they can definitely work on. But it's important for them to always be productive, but also to be balanced and rest. It's definitely a hard balance, yes.
Can you provide some examples of things that you describe as productive and meaningful for these summer opportunities? Just
sure.
They don't have to be specific to individuals, but just examples.
Sure. We have kids who work at Starbucks. We have kids who take a class at Pierce. We have kids who do some volunteering in another country. Any other ideas come to mind?
Volunteering at hospitals, summer programs, like summer intensive programs at a local school. Like all the youth schools a lot of times have like camps away where you go for a couple weeks. You get to live in the dorms, you get to do stuff like that. Whatever their interests are. You want it to be meaningful towards something they're interested in.
Okay, thank you.
And every student is assigned to a counseling page on Blackboard. So freshmen through seniors, and if you go to that page for your student, we have a tab devoted to summer programs, and there's a long list of websites and ideas on that page as well. in your students' counseling page, whatever grade level they are, it says summer programs, so you just click on that in there.
Okay, they'll be taking the PSAT, the juniors will be taking the PSAT on October 10th. And they could qualify for National Merit Scholar this time. So, doing a little bit of prep is not a bad idea. Maybe some of them have already started prepping. We don't push prepping too early because they don't have to take the SAT, ACT until spring of their junior year. We want them to have as much math and science under their belt as possible before they take it. We urge them to take both the SAT and the ACT. They can take practice tests online and see which one they're more comfortable with. But by junior year, they will have taken each one here, as they did in the fall, in October. They can start to plan their test dates for the spring. We have all kinds of handouts in the counseling office, and you can find those test dates on the ACT website or the College Board website for SAT. In May, they take their AP exams, and they may take their SAT subject exams in classes, areas that they're very, very comfortable.
Excuse me?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
not graduated from United States. Would you please tell me what is the difference between the SAT and the ACT? Just
Okay.
briefly.
Yeah, the ACT moves a little bit more quickly. So, for example, in my experience, kids who are really good test takers may gravitate toward the ACT. The ACT has a science section. I don't mean like super hardcore physics or anything like that. It's more, graphs and charts and science readings where the SAT does not have that. So again, just for your student to have a look at both would be really, really helpful. Sure.
Do they need both for the colleges? I know a long time ago,
No.
a million years ago, it was like one or the other.
It's one or the other, but we're just urging them to try both on their own to see which one they're more
Got
comfortable
it.
with.
And it's the same thing where they can take it and then the colleges take the highest.
Yeah, so colleges do some super score, some pretty much take the highest.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
that's okay. That's okay.
Ms. Juarez, can I say, the library funds SHMOOP test prep for all our students, so I have handouts that you're welcome to take. It's ACT, SAT, AP, there's test prep, there's practice tests, flashcards, drills, all that kind of stuff, and we fund it for your students, so I'll have those out for you to take.
Really quick on that note, I have friends that my daughter's sophomore, they're taking a PSAT class. What is that? That they're taking it right now that you guys are offering?
Yeah, this is the first time that we've offered it, at least in a long
Yeah,
time.
I've heard of that.
Right, and that's just more prep for the SAT.
When does it start? Where do we get the information? Because I have a sophomore, I kind of want to know. and she's
Oh,
in season
okay.
Right now, was there?
Yeah, you can talk to your counselor. I'm sure we'll run it again. It was very popular. It
Yeah.
filled up so quickly this year. Absolutely.
Okay, so it's not for the library? It's not that way.
No,
It's not
No,
for the-
no. That's
We ran
online,
two
you do it on your own.
We ran 2 sessions of the PSAT test prep for the first time this year, and they filled up, I think, within a
So
day or
as a
2.
parent, what do I look for? When does the information come out? Like, is it online? You send it to us? Like, what do we?
Yeah, we sent out an email to everybody. Like, again, this was our first year running it, but we'll always make you guys aware that it's available to you. Yeah.
Subject tests, do you recommend them taking subject tests? I mean, not all colleges look at that, right?
Not all colleges look at it, but if they're really comfortable in a subject, why not? Or they should be researching their college list to see which colleges do, just to make sure to cover their bases. But you're right, not all colleges need the subject test.
But if your student has been in AP courses, for example, that's great preparation for a subject test. So, especially if they've done well. So a lot of times, just to have an extra check in their column that they attempted the exam, if they did well, it's a good chance, even if a school doesn't require it, to just show that they took the exam and they tried and maybe did well, even if it's not required. So it's a good thing for a student to kind of seek out, especially in an area where they've had an AP class.
Right. Anytime when a student can take the initiative and add to their profile by looking like they've gone above and beyond, that can't hurt them. That will always help them. Okay. And then to move on here, we want to make sure that again the college fair, the college kickoff, that the students attend that. They can check out so much information online. If you go onto any college website, you can find out all kinds of information about that college. Also, visiting Naviance through Naviance, when they start to make their list, their colleges I'm interested in, and moving them eventually to colleges I'm applying to. There's so much information on each college in Naviance that your student is interested in, from admissions to student life to location, to what's in the area, to what's in the cities around it, etc. So they should certainly be doing their research and working with you and with us in planning their list. For our juniors, at second lunch, almost every second lunch, Mrs. Cuneo is in charge of this program, we have colleges visiting us. I think yesterday we had 4 colleges visiting us. And when I say that, that means that the students during second lunch, they can eat their lunch certainly. Maybe there'll be a college in the library here or in one of the conference rooms or in the Bob Hope Center during lunch. And the reps are there. They can answer their questions about programs. They have handouts for them. Oftentimes these reps are the very people who read the applications from our students. So to shake their hand, to get their card, to get to know them. Some students who are very proactive really build relationships with these reps. I have one student who's emailing back and forth to the rep constantly because that's her #1 college, and she is really taking the lead on that. So the second lunch visits are awesome. And like I said, they can eat their lunch and it's very, very handy for them. They're right here. Again, we have our local college tours in the spring where we take juniors on buses just to local colleges. And they certainly want to be working on their resume and be working on their colleges I'm thinking about list. Yes?
So do we need to set up a time, like, do they have to sign up? Is there a fee for this to be able to go on those bus tours?
Yes, that's not till the spring. So we'll probably get that information out to you around January or so for like a February, March bus tour.
Do you know if you're planning another regional trip for spring?
We are. We're planning. We don't know yet where, but we are. That's in the works. Yes. Okay, seniors. They should have their list virtually ready to go that colleges I'm applying to. Once they move their list from colleges I'm thinking about to colleges I'm applying to, we can really work with them. The due dates are there, other information is there, the college information is there about the different universities, so that's really important. They should have taken or at least registered for the SAT or ACT. Colleges still will accept the October, November, maybe even December if they need to retest. There's a place on the applications that indicate, when I'm planning to take the test. So that will be okay, but they should certainly be in that mode, testing mode. If they're working on the UC, they want to make sure that their personal statements, there's 8 personal statement prompts and they have to choose 4 of them. They want to make sure that a counselor or a teacher or somebody has seen it, definitely has gone over the writing with them. We are told from the UC reps that please have your students answer the questions, right? Have them be direct. We don't want fluff. We certainly don't want somebody on the outside writing it for them. We want to know their authentic voice. We want to hear who they are as a person, something about them. This is really the only place, the writing, sometimes where they can really get to know the student besides numbers and test scores and things like that. So the personal statements on the UC are super, super important, as is the Common Application essay on the Common App and all the supplements. Different colleges have different supplements. We tell our seniors to very carefully make sure that you're opening all the supplements depending on what college you're applying to. So you're not surprised, a couple days before you have to send the application. Oh my goodness, I have to write 4 more pieces? I didn't even know that, right? So they should know now. They should be looking now at all the supplements, anything extra that they have to do. The Common App, they probably need 1 to 2 teacher recommendations. Right now we're in the process of talking with our seniors, having our chats with our seniors, our interviews, and working on who's the best teacher for them to choose, to ask, to write their letter at rec. I think I'm done. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Okay, hopefully. All right, let's see where we left off. Yeah, so we're meeting with seniors today. I know there's only a couple senior parents out here, but this is good for all of all of you guys who have rising students coming up. So you kind of know what to expect. The college process is very involved, but we try our best to really inform the students, keep them on track, and not make it so overwhelming, because we know that it can be overwhelming. So we really stress at the beginning of the year they're choosing their schools. So a lot of kids will come in panicked from the summer because they haven't seen us and things like that. But we really finalize our senior students lists at the end of September. So we're meeting with them, finalizing them, because so much changes for them. You know, I mean, I'm sure you've seen from 9th grade to 10th grade, your students' ideas change, maybe their interests change, or they went on one of these tours and they saw a school, or they're talking to somebody and they see a school. So their list is constantly evolving from 9 through 12, and we want that. You know, we want them to be open-minded and be exploring. So we, you know, don't hold them to it until we're sitting, you know, in the fall with them saying, okay, now it's time to, like, let's take the bones of your list, let's help you. Do you need some more target schools, safety schools? You know, what are we looking at for you? What are your goals? And then we can sit down and say, okay, now you're ready to go. And now all these other pieces come into play. You know, asking teachers for letters, can't do that until you know where you're applying and when the deadlines are. You know, so we just take it kind of step by step with them. This class is particularly very anxious. So we're working on, you know, just taking one step at a time and getting them where they need to go. For juniors and seniors, we ask them to do a recommendation questionnaire, because for Common App schools, we'll be writing them a counselor letter of recommendation, which is great because we've had your students since 9th grade. So we've been able to see them grow and get to know them and see them often. So we ask them to do that, and then we go over that with them in preparation for writing our letter for them. So for seniors, right now in October, again, they're just working on applications. We have senior workshops as well, where they can just bring their laptop and we sit with them and walk them through their applications. We also have a application boot camp that we do for rising seniors in August, usually before the year starts. So that's run through our summer school program, and we allow students to sign up, and we have 2 different sessions, 2 different dates to choose from, and we walk them through their applications. We help them with their lists, we walk them through Naviance, and then part of the portion is with counselors, the other portion is with English teachers, so they can leave the college boot camp with at least a draft of their essays. Okay, so we can't recommend that enough, and we'll start really plugging that in the spring for our juniors this year. Yeah.
Do you know when the dates will be announced for those?
In the spring sometime.
In the spring?
Yeah, when we start advertising it. We're not sure.
We're on a graduate school graduation,
Okay.
early August. So
Okay.
I'm just wondering.
All right, yeah, I'm not sure, but it'll definitely be in early August.
Early August.
You have 2 choices too.
Okay,
Well,
great.
2 choices, and typically what we've done this past summer and the summer before was we did weekends, which, you know, not everybody raves about, but it gives us a chance to really get through everything and just without interruptions and without having to do multiple days. We just kind of get it all done Saturday and Sunday. So there's a hand up too.
There was the same
Okay, all right. For seniors, you know, we always remind them, this is really for every grade level, but keeping your grades strong, right? So you don't want to think, oh, I'm going to college, it doesn't really matter. It definitely matters. Okay, having a strong essay, you know, as Ms. Juarez says, this is where students can really share their voice and explain, you know, a little bit more about them, because, you know, as much as the grades and test scores are important in the process, we'd be lying to you if we said they weren't. But, you know, there's a lot of 4.2s, 3.7s, 3.9s that apply to all these schools, right? Hundreds and thousands of teenagers applying at the same time. So they're looking for these other factors to see, why should we take this person over that person? We only have so many seats, right? So the voice in the essay is really important. The letters of recommendation show who this kid is beyond that they took AP Chemistry. You know, so be reassured that, you know, the colleges, when they come here, that's what they tell us too. You know, they want to see your student, see who they are. Okay? And we are here to help them with that. So are the English teachers. It's definitely a great process to be part of. So in November, seniors will be applying to the Cal States and the UCs. They both have a November 30th deadline, and that is the only deadline they have. Okay, so UCs you can start submitting November 1st, so they give you a month to apply, but they opened in August. The Cal States have yet to open. They open on October 1st for students to start working on it. We have a lot of students who apply early. You may have heard that term going around, I'm applying early, I'm applying early. So there's pluses and minuses to that, so we want to talk to your students about that, about making that choice. So sometimes the earliest deadlines are October 15th. Typically, it's November 1st and November 15th. Okay, and then the regular decision deadlines are always when we're on break over the holidays, January and January 15th. We want seniors to finish up testing, look for scholarships. We have a scholarship database inside Naviance that we want students to look at. We also have an array of other choices that they can access. We ask students to let us know for any regular decision deadlines, which is like January, February deadlines, before we leave for Thanksgiving break. Okay, and then we walk them through Naviance. We use Naviance for everything. So for 9th, 10th, 11th grade parents, encourage your students to log on there and check it out. We come around to classrooms and help the younger students learn how to use it because it really is a great tool for just staying organized, getting some school information, seeing where they fall in the whole mix of things. We use things called scattergrams so that they can look at Chaminade admission history, which is what the colleges look at. So it's really helpful to look at Naviance. Again, we want students to visit our second lunch college visits. It's only for juniors and seniors. I know sometimes sophomores and freshmen feel left out, but we only have so much time to have these reps here, and we do that on purpose to have them be accessible to the students that are really in the thick of their college search. So that's why we do that. Every now and again, we have some schools that come here for both lunches. For example, I just scheduled USC the other day, and they will be here for both lunches. So when that happens, we'll definitely advertise it so the younger students can partake in that at their lunchtime.
Good question. So do you have a list of the reps visiting for the week on the CTW?
It's in the CTW and it's on Naviance as well.
Okay.
And then we have a list in our office, the counseling office too.
And other than just coming to meet and greets, do you recommend students bring maybe an early version of the resume? Or?
No, no. I think just the one-on-one is fine. I mean, these, the reps. It's especially if they're juniors. It's so far out for them to keep track of. I think what's more powerful is that face-to-face conversation or maybe a follow-up email. But yeah, we've had students that want to bring resumes to college fairs and things like that. I mean, it's just so chaotic, and these reps are talking to so many kids. So I think maybe that follow-up email is more powerful than the paper.
And sometimes the rep is in there with just one or two students, and they have such a one-on-one that he asks exactly what programs they're interested in. It's so beneficial for the kids to take part in the college rep visits, and they don't always, unfortunately.
Yeah, they don't always. Okay, so application workshops, we've already had one. We have 2 more for seniors in the Media Center. December, seniors are just finalizing things, following up with their teachers and counselors who are writing for them. We ask them to check their email. This goes for all grade levels. Check your email, check your email. Have a lot of freshmen that say, oh, my email's full, I'm not getting anything. I'm like, well, gotta check that and clean it up. Because we do communicate a lot with students via email. And if colleges need something, they use email a lot of times, or they have students set up a portal. After you apply, they say, okay, here's your username and password, check this daily or weekly, to see if you missed anything. So email is always, the way to go. We put up a financial aid slide, not because this is a financial aid workshop, but just to kind of, get you guys acquainted with some terminology. Actually, our next College and Coffee is just about financial aid. So you may want to come to that. That'll be more in depth. But this just gives you a quick overview of terms you might hear. So the FAFSA, everyone heard of the FAFSA before? No. Free application for federal student aid. Some of you might be sitting there saying, we're not going to qualify, we're not going to do that. We always recommend that every family apply. Sometimes it puts you in the running for different grants because it is through the government, and you never know what happens, right? So it's better to apply and say no thank you than apply or not apply and wish you had, right? Because financial situations can sometimes change. So we always advise students to do that, and it's totally free. The CSS profile is another financial aid form that certain colleges require. The full list of institutions that require this is on the College Board website. Some popular ones are USC, LMU. So they do ask for this, and all it is a little more in depth so that they can try to help you. Okay, so there is a small fee. I think it's $25 for the first one, and then a nominal fee for any other submissions. But again, they're just trying to do it to try to find more money for you, so it's a win-win. Cal Grant, this is something that we will start talking to seniors about soon. This is for students that meet a certain income criteria and have at least a 3.0 and that are going to college in the state of California. Okay, so this is a grant offered by California, and the deadline is March 2nd. So we'll be talking to them about that, and we submit their GPAs electronically. Western Undergraduate Exchange, WUI. This is one of our favorite things to talk about with students. Financial considerations are a reality for every student at the end of the day, and WUI makes it really awesome opportunity for some students to pay in-state tuition even though they're an out-of-state student. Okay, so it's a tuition discount program with a funny name, and it's a bunch of schools from Montana all the way to Hawaii. Okay, so if financial considerations are a big thing, or maybe you just fall under this umbrella for the certain schools your students are looking at, it could be a great opportunity. Some really popular ones, Boise State, what's the one I'm thinking of? Northern Arizona University, that's a popular one for our students. University of Hawaii at Manoa, and I'm blanking on the other one right now that I'm thinking of. But there's a lot of great options that our students can go for. Sometimes they have to meet, Colorado State, that's what I was thinking of, Colorado State. Sometimes they have to meet a certain GPA test score criteria to qualify, but we've had some students take advantage of it, and they're paying a lot less for college. So that's definitely a good option. Again, I mentioned we have scholarship lists available for all grade levels to look at. On the Blackboard counseling page, every student is assigned a Blackboard counseling page based on their grade level. So you just have to use your student's login to get in there and check out the scholarships tab. FastWeb is a very popular scholarship website. RaiseMe, anyone heard of RaiseMe before? Super cool, okay? This is where your student can sign up and get micro scholarships starting in the 9th grade. So they enter the classes they've taken at Chaminade, the grades they get in them. They can enter community service, employment, activities, and then they follow different universities, kind of like a social media format. Like, I'm going to follow Syracuse, I'm going to follow LMU, and then each school gives money for those things. Like, they'll give students $100 if they get an A in honors chem, or something like that. So the student has a running total, like they're in Las Vegas or something. They log in and they see the tally and they're, oh my God, I have $150,000. Right? So what happens at the end is, if, say, they get into Syracuse or whatever school they're following, they can say, okay, here's my RaiseMe scholarship, and they get to cash that out and have that money. Okay, so it could not be easier. Highly recommend, especially for the younger students, to get going on it now, and then the older students, just go back through your stuff and sign up.
And it's fun. They have so much fun with it.
Yeah.
And is it retroactive? Can they go and enter ninth grade? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. GoingMary.com is a new website that we've just learned about for scholarships. So again, somewhere where you can enter in your information and see what you might be qualified for at any grade level. Frequently used application types. This is good information for all grade levels. Okay, Common App is the most common that you've probably heard of. Coalition App. There are more and more schools added to the Coalition application. We have some schools like the University of Washington that only use the Coalition app. Typically, we see the most schools through the Common App, but Coalition is a new one. California State University, of course, that opens October 1st, and that has all 23 campuses on there. Pretty easy application. There's no essays, there's no letters of recommendation. They just want your test scores, courses, and grades. University of California, that's been open since August 1st. And again, the Cal States and UCs, they have the one November 30th deadline. UCs ask for the personal insight questions that Ms. Juarez was talking about, activities, how many hours per week have you done something, leadership, grades, the whole thing. They ask for a lot of different things. And out-of-state public schools, it varies. A lot of times students will just Google the school and it'll be on their website. Okay, and also in the seniors Blackboard page, we give them a lot of links to those direct out-of-state public schools so that they can find the applications easily. But Naviance, another thing that's so great about Naviance, when students put in the schools they're applying to, it tells them how to apply. Okay.
And they don't want to wait till November 30th.
Yeah.
To apply. Because
right.
We've had experiences where there's glitches in the system or crashes because everybody's trying to apply on November 30th. So definitely beforehand.
Yeah. Always a good idea to give yourself a earlier deadline. That way you can enjoy Thanksgiving and all that stuff. Okay, so this is College and Coffee for parents. So one of the most important slides is, what is your role as a parent? This is a lot of information. We totally get that. It can be very overwhelming. But that's the reason we have these things, to make sure you guys know that there's a process, and it really goes grade level by grade level. And there's different things that you guys should be doing as well, okay? So first thing on the list, be your student's biggest cheerleader. I'm sure everyone can check that off the list, okay? Of course, we want our children to succeed and have all the things that they need. So for senior parents right now, you guys actually have an optional brag sheet that you can do for us inside your Naviance account. Every student has their own Naviance account, and then parents can access a parent Naviance account. The only real difference is this particular brag sheet survey. So if you wanted to tell us more information about your student, you can go ahead and do that, and we can use that when we write their letter. That's very helpful. As for everyone else, just cheer them on. We always encourage students to have open minds. Okay, there's over 5,000 schools out there, and as your student grows, a lot can change. You see them becoming independent, you see their interests changing, maybe their grades change for better or for worse. And you want to just make sure you're seeing that they have a lot of options. Encouraging your student to take ownership. Okay, we have a lot of parents that call us and say, yeah, we're working on our applications, and we're like, you are? So this is the student's process, okay? Obviously the younger students need a little more coaching, maybe more nudges, but by the time they're seniors, think fast forward a few months and they're going to be on their own, so this is good practice to encourage them to be invested in their own process. Are they coming to see us? Are they asking questions? Are they emailing us? Or are you doing everything? Okay, I know sometimes it's hard to let go of those reins, but it's good practice for your student to be independent and take care of themselves and ask those important questions. And hopefully they're excited about college. It's a big deal. Sometimes students freeze and they don't know what to do. So yeah, you could always send us an email and say, hey, Johnny's having some trouble just getting started. Could you call him in and maybe give him some encouragement? Of course, that's totally fine, but they should be filling out their applications, they should be doing their searches, they should be going to meet these reps at lunch. I mean, we couldn't possibly give them more resources here. I mean, they're very fortunate to go to a school like that, like this, that has so many options, and sometimes students don't take advantage of it. So you could encourage them to do that, to come see us and take advantage of all the great resources we have. Having discussions with them about balance. Okay, just like in life, do they have enough time to eat? Do they have enough time to sleep? See your friends, see their family? What's going on with them? Because the college process is a big one. That's another reason we really push them doing the boot camp in the summer before senior year, because it takes a lot of pressure off once they start senior year and they have 7 classes, right? So they're doing all these applications at night after their homework and all of that. But balance is the key. Are they looking at their list in a balanced way? Are they applying to too many schools so they're losing balance in their own life? So balance is something we really preach here. And we want to make sure that they're not applying to only Ivy Leagues, that they're not applying to only Cal States, that they have a variety of schools that fit them, that they'd be happy to attend. Because at the end of the day, we don't have a crystal ball. And the application process changes, through time, from year to year. And we want our students to get good news just like you do. We're their biggest cheerleader too. So we want them to just have a lot of options, okay?
And they want to make sure they have financial fits also on their college list that you as a family have spoken about.
Definitely. So this picture here we go again. Robert Downey Jr., that might be your student's face sometimes when you're talking about college or school or something, right? So sometimes the college conversation can take over, or the academic conversation can take over, and your students just need a break. Like Ms. Juarez mentioned, the culture here is very college focused, right? There's a lot of competition, and we know that. And they're kids, right? They want to be able to say they're applying here, they're applying there, they got an A, they got a B, they got, whatever they want to say, whatever they're going for, and whatever goals they have. Everybody's so ambitious, which is amazing. But when they come home, they might just want to be like, yeah, Mom, I had a great day. And I did this in school, I did that in school. Maybe the conversation isn't always about their grades. Maybe it's not always about college. So one recommendation we make, especially for senior parents, is choose a day out of the week that you have a college conversation. Maybe it's Wednesdays because nobody has practice, or maybe it's Sundays because everyone's doing homework and just hanging out, and it's not going to be, an everyday thing where you're like, so, what do you got on your list? So, have you done this? Have you done that? Because kids are looking like that, right? They're over it. They're stressed out enough. They're thinking about it already. They're hearing their friends talk about it. So what you could do at home to just support them to say, you know what, let's pick a day, and that'll be our day we talk about it. All right, taking your students to visit schools whenever possible. Again, we know that's not always possible, okay? But when you're on vacation, maybe there's a school nearby, you go check it out, go drive through. Maybe you have relatives that live somewhere near a school. It may not be a school you've ever heard of, it may not be a school your kid even wants to see, but just seeing a different perspective can be helpful. Driving through and saying, wow, I didn't even know this school existed. This is pretty cool. I'm gonna go look into this. Kind of like when they get all the mail. They're like, what is this school? This is just a waste of mail. But if they maybe read it or maybe went to visit, they're like, oh, okay, this kind of sounds good. Or wow, they're gonna give me that much money. Or, wow, I didn't know it was near Chicago or near wherever. Just something to keep their mind open, keep them looking at things. So visiting is great. October 1st on Monday, we have no school. So that's a great day to visit a school, especially for seniors. And, summer vacations, winter break, spring break, all those options are great. And then there's also a website called uvisit.com. So for the schools, especially far away schools that you're not able to go visit, they give like 180-degree tours online. It kind of feels like you're in a video game. So that would be a cool way to see if the schools your kids are interested in are on that website. That's not this slide, by the way, but it's uvisit.com. Okay, so that might be a good resource as well. This particular slide is called Colleges That Change Lives. And this is a collection of schools that are often hidden gems that students don't always know about, but that are really awesome schools. And for those older parents that are here or students with older kids, we've done College Kickoff before, and we have the director of this program come and speak. What's her name? Maria Furtado. And she's the author of this book. It's a book, actually, Colleges That Change Lives, and it's a group of all of these schools. Okay, some that you may not have heard of, some that you may have, that really take care of the student. They really have an awesome, just really great opportunities for students. Okay, and they may not be on your radar, but they're really, really awesome schools that we always want students to just take another look at. There's also a college fair. I think it's in the spring, but they do a college fair for these schools too. So something to just keep along those lines of being open-minded and seeing what else is out there. And here's just a slide for fun to let you guys know how many options there are. Okay, 50 top colleges that you can get into with a 3.6. Okay, a lot of schools, again, that you may have heard of, maybe that you haven't heard of. Okay, and just keep in mind, I know some of you are taking pictures. We are going to post this on our website too. Okay, so you'll have these handy resources available to you. Okay, so lots of opportunities for students and for you, just to keep the conversation going. So right now we'll take some questions. Yeah, in the back.
Yeah, I have 3 or 4 parents whose kids have either advanced in college or have been through college, and who have told me that one or more of their kids went the route of community college transferring into a UC or something. And they said it really worked out well for them. I don't know much about that. Do you have any comments about that option?
Yeah. It's a great option for the right kid. I mean, we always have a group, a healthy sized group of seniors every year that does that. And they do it for different reasons. They do it for financial reasons, or they do it, for family reasons. A lot of times, though, it's because they have a dream school that they want to get into that wasn't a reality for them as a high school senior. So then they go the transfer route. So you can transfer to a lot of private schools after just 1 year in community college, and you can transfer to a UC or a Cal State after 2 years, after you're a junior status. So yeah, we have students that do that all the time, and it's a great option.
Is the situation that, I guess it varies, but generally speaking, if you do okay at community college, are you then more likely to be able to get into a college to transfer in than you would have been as a senior trying to enter that college as a freshman?
Right, so if you do 2 years and you're transferring, then you're considered a junior, and then they'll only look at your college work. So say you did okay at Chaminade, but then you just killed it in community college, then they're only looking at that, so your chances increase. Now for the really selective schools that are selective now as a high school senior, they're still selective as a college transfer. So a lot of times UCLA and USC will say, okay, you still need to have like a 3.5 and be in the honors classes to still get in. I mean, it's still competitive, but it takes away, maybe they had a rocky time here, or they just didn't get in that year. So then they have another chance to try to do that from community college. But community colleges are built for transferring. We have a lot of students too that say, well, how about if I just go to CSAT, or I'll just go to Ohio State and then I'll transfer? I'm like, why? Why would you do that? You know, because they don't want to say they're going to community college. That's really what it comes down to. And I get it. We all get it. But if the transfer plan is what's happening and what is the reality and what makes the most sense for that student because they want to go here, 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 or they just want more options, right? Then the community college is built for transferring. So that is probably what we would recommend, because if you move somewhere or you just do 1 year here, 1 year there, you might lose credits. It might be this whole big debacle in your own life to pick up and then move back. And, you know, so if transferring is the plan, community college is what it's for.
One other thing that's built for transferring is the UC and Cal State system. They actually make room for our community college students to go in at the junior year. So all the UCs are top heavy, more juniors and seniors, and they make room for those community college students to come in. They're not making room at these top schools, and if you look at the retention rates, most of the top schools, they're keeping their students freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year. They're not making room for a huge rush of community college students coming in. And also, a lot of these community colleges, they have transfer admission guarantee programs. So if your student is maybe a little bit rocky, but they want to go to a school like UC Irvine, UC Riverside, like a lot of different UCs, then they can enter into a program, which many of them can easily get into. It guides them through community college, has reasonable expectations, and then they have a guaranteed admission. There are even some programs like a TAP program at Moorpark, which has a relationship with UCLA, which gives them sort of a fast track, even though it's not a guarantee. So a lot of opportunities at community college.
They do have some drawbacks though. Because
They do, yeah.
They do.
At those top schools, there is room, and you can look up the rates for how many transfer students they have. Those are published information.
Well, on the preference in classes, they give preference to students that have started there versus transfers. So there are some of those drawbacks.
In terms of community college?
No, in universities.
A lot of times they'll give preference in larger groups, and at these big universities, we don't worry as much about getting the right schedule put together. You do worry about that a little bit in community colleges sometimes. Some of them are, the most popular ones are super impacted, they're really crowded sometimes. That could be a drawback.
I've heard that some schools within universities have separate sort of admission standards, admission requirements, and I've heard people say, well, I couldn't get into UCLA in their regular program, but if I went into whatever, their arts or their engineering major, I was able to get in that way. How do you get that kind of information, particularly if you've got a student that knows or thinks he knows exactly what he wants to be doing? So he knows he's going to want to go into a certain college within the university. How do you find out what specific admission requirements or what the average is, grade point, that kind of stuff for that particular college if it's done separately than the university as a whole? How do you get that information?
I mean, that's something that you can find online. You'll go in and you can look at specific schools to see what their averages are for that specific school. Yeah, it's true, like if you're going into engineering, a lot of times if you're going to go into an engineering program, those requirements are going to be well above what the school's averages are. And some of the schools, like if you apply to engineering, they're only considering you for engineering, and if you don't get in, then you're not going to get into that school. So it just depends on the programs, but that is information that you can go to the school's website, you can research and try to find out, okay, does my GPA need to be a little bit higher? Do my test scores need to be a little bit higher if I'm planning on doing this particular program there, or this particular college there?
And there are also programs that, like especially there's some with the UCs that tell you right on the application, this is only available for juniors. So you apply to the university and then you have to apply as a junior to get into that particular program later. So some schools do it that way as well. Just depends, it really varies by school. But yeah, the information's accessible, or you contact the representative and you can ask those questions, but definitely varies by school. And we, in terms of strategy, we don't advise strategy. We want students to apply how they want to apply. A lot of students have no idea what they want to do. Let's be honest, they don't know. And that's okay. Every rep that comes, every rep that comes says, we know they're 17 and 18 years old, and they're probably going to change their mind. Undecided is the most common major. So you know, I know back in the day it was like, oh, you're gonna be punished if you say you don't know and you don't have a major and all that. But these reps tell us every time they're not. Okay, so a lot of times in the application, colleges will say, what are you interested in, or what is your top choice or your second choice, but it's not going to seal your fate, you know? Now, for programs that are more specific, like engineering or performing arts, that's a little different because they're so competitive and they only allow so many kids, or they have very specific requirements to get in, so that makes that a little different. But in general, we don't tell students, oh yeah, apply under here and then you'll get in, because at some schools it's not so easy to transfer. You know, like at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, one of the most popular schools we have, and they admit by major. And if you start in that major, you're starting in those classes. So you don't want to say you're doing dairy science and then you're stuck in that until it opens up and you're able to move into something else. I mean, that's just not a smart plan. You know, so we always tell our students, be honest and choose appropriately with your school so that you have a chance at these other schools on your list.
What should our expectation be as parents of the counseling department here at the school? Because you're just saying you don't help them so much with strategy. That's something as a family we need to investigate. Or
no,
are you
I meant
guiding them through?
I meant strategy.
So that's
no, I meant we don't advise strategy for choosing a major. Like, don't say you're choosing something that you don't really want to do to try to get into the school. That's what I meant by that.
But choosing a college and going through the application, the engineering, if he's going to go to Moore Park, you guys would help guide him.
Absolutely.
In that direction. That's what we should do. Okay.
There's a lot of myths online, and like you'll hear from other people. We want to dispel those types of myths, and so sometimes a student will come and have this grand plan that they maybe heard from another friend. We want to make sure to dispel those myths and make sure that they have a strategy that makes sense, a strategy that lays out a good way to get into college.
Okay, so you're helping them develop their strategy too?
Yes.
Not just helping them with the application?
Right. Yeah, I mean, we, you know, like we said, we talk through the grade levels, you know, and colleges, you know, for 9th graders and 10th graders, we're not saying, so, where are you applying? You know, we're not doing that because that's too stressful for them. But it's always the destination. It's always the thing that we're talking about. It's why they're doing so much hard work. But we're always talking about it, and then by the time they're juniors, you know, when we sit with them, we're saying, okay, what are some thoughts that you have? And we help them just start building a list. And then by the time they're seniors, then we're helping them finalize the list. And yeah, it's definitely a partnership. I mean, we don't expect, you know, that families aren't talking about lists and, you know, choices and things like that, but we're definitely helping them through every step of the process.
So in the case of having a junior, should my junior contact you to set up a time to start strategizing, or I mean, or is there a special time that's set aside that you will call in the juniors?
So, I mean, any student here can sign up whenever they want to come see us. So we have sign-up sheets on our doors and whatnot. As if students aren't signing up, we have an idea of when we see each type of student. So like at the beginning of the school year, we always see our freshmen right away because we want to make sure they're adjusting, that they're fitting in, that there's no issues or anything like that. We then start meeting with our seniors because we got to make sure that they know what their deadlines are, that they're getting their letters of rec done, all that kind of stuff. Then we'll move on to juniors. So juniors come in typically after seniors. So for us, it's roughly like another month or so when we start really seeing the juniors. And then we'll start seeing our sophomores. You know, because we kind of lay it out given what each class should be doing at that time. So if they never sign up and see us, then we'll see them like when we start seeing our juniors. But if we have some students that are very proactive. So I've already had some juniors that have come and signed up to already have that talk, and we kind of talk about testing and the schools that they're thinking about. So it just depends on that student. But they can always come and sign up and see us.
Do you do a class level chat just like you're doing here with the parents, with the students?
I just want to ask the same question.
That is something that we typically do like a college kickoff. So for like our sophomores and juniors, we split up into classes and we have those kinds of chats. We go into classrooms and do it with students. We haven't necessarily, I'm trying to think of any other times where we split up and have a chat just with the parents. It's typically the college kickoff is where we split
I'm thinking
up.
all this information you're giving us, just geared towards the kids' message as a class level would be great.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. I agree.
Just so you know, we do share this information with our students when we meet with them one-on-one as well. So they're hearing it
Yeah, you're.
all, they're hearing it every semester.
It
And it's
doesn't mean
being
we know
recorded.
they're probably
Right.
not going home and telling you that, but we do tell them all this information when we meet with them.
And it's being recorded, so you post it on your counseling
There you go.
page, so.
There you go. Yeah, so, but we do want to respect your time, and it is past 9 o'clock, so we'll be available for some questions if anyone has any other questions, and otherwise, thank you guys for coming. And our next one will be, I don't know the date, but it's financial aid, and we'll send you an email about the date.
Thank you.